I am Suchira from Science Integral, and I welcome you all for BSV ART Act webinar series, which is associated with ISAR. Let me introduce you all to our convener, Dr. Seema Pandey. So, Dr. Seema Pandey is the consultant and director of Vanshati Fertility from Azamgarh. She is the librarian of ISAR. She is the president of Azamgarh Ops and Gynae Society. She was National Executive Committee member of ISAR and ISPAC. She is also the co-author of A to Z of PCOS, Everything You Wanted to Know About PCOS. She is the co-editor of Art and Fertility Enhancing Surgeries, Ovulation Induction Simplified, FOXY, Handbook of Drugs in Infertility, FOXY Focus Preterm Labor. She is also the reviewer of Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology India. She is also the executive board member of Commonwealth Association for Health and Disability. Over to you, ma'am.
And thank you, Suchira, for kind introduction. Now it's my proud privilege and pleasure to introduce and welcome our chief guest, a dear friend and President ISAR, Dr. Amit Patki. Dr. Amit is President ISAR 2426. He is Medical Director, Fertility Associates Mumbai, and Honorary Associate Professor KJ Sumaya Medical College and Hospital. Dr. Amit is also Consultant Khar, Hinduja, and Surya Hospitals, and he is country representative to Aspire from 21 to 23 and Governing Council member ICOG from 2012 to 2012 to 20. No, it is regretted. 21. And General Secretary MSR 2018-21, Chair West Zone RCOG 2015-20, President MOGS 2014-15. Dr. Amit has more than 35 publications in national and international journals, 50 book chapters, and he has edited more than 3 books. And Dr. Amit has 2 international patents in her name in infertility and stem cell research, and he is a proud TEDx speaker. I welcome our president, Dr. Amit Patki, and would like Dr. Amit to just give his words of wisdom regarding this ART Act webinar series 2 in association presented by ISAR in association with Science Integra and BSV.
Thank you very much, Dr. Seema, and a very good evening to you all. I'm very happy that Seema has taken the initiative of having the first webinar for ISAR in my tenure, and congratulations to you. I would also like to thank Science Integra, TOG, and BSV for having been with us. I wish you all the very best for your seminar, and it is such an important topic that I'm also going to be listening to all the speakers. So without much ado, I would like you all to proceed ahead. Thank you.
Sorry, I was muted. So I would also like to invite our another guest of honor, Dr. Asha Bakshi, our Secretary ISAR. She is member of Executive Committee member AIC CCRCOG West Zone, founder chairperson MP IAG and MP ISAR, member of Advisory Committee PCPNDT Indore. Dr. Asha has got a lot of awards and recognitions to her credit. And she also has to her credit the first ICSI, TSEXI, Micro TSEXI babies of MP. Dr. Asha is recipient of Dr. Kumud Tamaskar Award Foxy 2008-2009 and Best Paper in Foxy Journal 2011-2012. Dr. Asha has also got Dr. Padma Shri Dr. S.K. Mukherjee Award 2021, Excellence Award Danik Bhaskar 2021, and she has organized various conferences like Star Endogyne 2019, ICCON 2017, ESAT 2016, and Joint Organizing Secretary of IFFS 2016. Dr. Asha was organizing chairperson AICOG 2022 Indore and organizing chairperson New Age OGCon 2023 Indore. I welcome Dr. Asha to this webinar, and we would love to hear a few words from her.
No. Thank you, ma'am. Also, I would like to take a privilege to introduce Mr. Alok Khetri, who is the CEO of BSV. He is the Chief Operating Officer of India Business, seasoned sales professional and a versatile leader with diverse leadership experience of over 3 decades, serving the industry as a growth catalyst and is recognized for his agility to adapt business models in response to market demands. He has managed multi-country and multicultural global regional teams in pharmaceutical, biotechnology industry with P&L responsibility for India, Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei, Sri Lanka, and Nepal. Prior to BSV, Mr. Alok has held leadership position in esteemed pharmaceutical organizations such as Cadila and Sanofi. He was a president in Cadila Pharmaceuticals India and was head established products business unit multi-country organization in Sanofi. Over to you, Mr. Alok.
Thank you so much, Suchira, for the introduction, and thanks to Dr. Dr. Patki, Dr. Asha Bakshi, Dr. Seema, because I think it's a real pleasure for us to collaborate at that time, at this time with ISAR, for this very, very important topic. In fact, as BSV, we are committed to the cause of women's health. And today we are one of the leading companies in women health and one of the leading companies in biotechnology. So this is something which is very also close to us, that how we can really contribute, especially in this market of assisted reproductive technology. Recently, when the act came, there's a lot of work which our team has done to see how we can support various fertility centers, through some of the external companies, etc., where we can help them with regards to the implementation of the act and also the compliance to the various regulations which have come. So this is our endeavor. Today's topic, especially on Assisted Reproductive Technology Act in India, is very critical. Topic is very important as it addresses the ethical, legal, and social dimension of assisted reproductive procedures, and it impacts countless lives. As we know that in the recent years, the number of cases, especially infertility, I would say, they are increasing, and I think this is the time when we have to really work together with medical fraternity as a company to see what more we can do in this particular segment. Nuances of the act impact not only the fertility clinics but also on other HCPs as well as the aspiring parents. And at this juncture, we would really want to hear your views so that we can understand which are the areas where we all can work together and really add value. So that is why your insights are going to be very useful, because day in and day out, you are dealing with the patients on one side and keeping the act and the provisions, etc., on the other. And I think once we are also clear that, okay, these are the areas where we can add value based on our discussions today, we will take those further. So thank you very much to everyone, and I'm very sure that this will be very interesting and insightful conversation which we will have during this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Alok. Suchira. Now, I'm really glad and I feel proud introducing my childhood friend, Dr. Anupma Futela. She's a graduate of KGMC Lucknow, master's from MAMC New Delhi, and she has done fellowship in reproductive medicine from NUH Singapore. Dr. Anupma is owner and senior consultant at Futela Hospital, Rudrapur, and she has gifted first IVF babies to Kumaon region. Dr. Anupma is primary member of State Surrogacy Board. She has been awarded with Best Gynecologist in Uttarakhand award by Chief Minister in 2022. And she is a regular participant as a faculty and expert in various national conferences. Dr. Anupma has contributed multiple chapters in Foxy publication, like one in Foxy publication, Handbook of Drugs and Infertility. She is founder and present president, Rudrapur Ops and Gynae Society, past vice president, IMA Rudrapur. And Dr. Anupma is executive member of National Foxy Endometriosis Committee, executive member of Uttarakhand Society of Ops and Gynec. She conducts regular hands-on workshops and conferences, and she is a co-founder of NGO at Uttarakhand Bhor. I welcome Dr. Anupma Futela. She is going to talk about her topic, IUI. Can you just show me the topic exactly, please? Suchira. It is related to the ART Act application in level 1 clinic, a SWOT analysis. I welcome Dr. Anupma. Over to you, Dr. Anupma.
Thank you, Seema, for that kind introduction. And I need to share my screen again. And it is okay, it is showing the option now. Thank you so much. And especially a bigger thank you to give me this opportunity to present on the very first seminar on your ESAR new tenure as an librarian. Congratulations, Dr. Patki and Dr. Seema, for beginning of this new ESAR sessions, and all the very best. And we are looking up to both of you in this trying era of ART specialists. We know we have very good leaders with us. Okay, so that's my presentation. And I'm giving a brief review of ART laws as far as level 1 clinics are concerned. So I'm not giving the details of anything about level 2 because I've been asked to limit my talk for IUIs, and it should be more of a general gynecologist. The talk should be restricted for the benefit of the general gynecologist. So here my talk is basically related to that. Am I clearly audible? Seema, can you endorse it?
Yes, Anu, you are.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much. Okay, so SWOT means the strength, the weakness, the opportunities, and the threat which are related to the new laws. And the new laws which have come up in the ART field, we just want to know a little brief about that. Earlier, they were just ICMR guidelines, and there were not any rules or laws till 2020-22. And in 2005, the ICMR guidelines were created, which we all were following. Later on, the bill was formed in 2010, then later in 14 and 17, but nothing actually became as a rule. So all those things which were being discussed, we were all puzzled what it is. But finally, in December 21, the bill was passed, the act was formed, and it was published on again in December, and finally it was notified and commenced in January 22. From January 22, we are all supposed to follow what the rules are saying. And the common gynecologist, I was also doing the same at one point of time when I was ignorant about the rules, that I was doing IUIs, and what I was maintaining was, the only thing which I was maintaining was the anonymity. And now many things have changed. It is no longer anonymous thing which is important. Rather, it is the confidentiality which is important. You can, at this point, at one point of time, we could not insert the semen sample from a known donor. Now we can do that. But it is important that it has to be routed through the ART bank and not take the sample, prepare and put it in. So this is slightly different now. So small things which I think is benefit of all of us. I'll just enumerate them. Later on, the rules came over. There is a little confusion that in March and May 22, the rules were saying something else, and later on in June, the rules said something else. So we should understand that whatever is there in the gazetted, which was in the June 22 form, that is the correct one, and not what was published in March and May 22. So do not follow them. They are not the real rules. So do not get confused. And some improvements, improvisations came over later on, and I'm just enumerating them very fast, which are mainly for IVF and not for IUIs. That whatever follicles are there, all formed follicles can be retrieved. It is not that you do not have to limit it to 7. The notary is allowed. It is not metropolitan magistrate which is required for all of them. The transfer of the gametes can be done by following certain forms, and it has to go through the national registry. A separate set of forms have come over for that. So that was the February 23 notification. Later on, it was clarified that for surrogacy, a lot of confusion was going on, that for surrogacy, donor gametes could be used, but no, the surrogacy can be done only and only with self gametes of male and female, both partners. So that was clearly reinserted in the March notification last year. And later on, the andrologist guidelines were improvised, and it was not only MCH urologist, it could be FNB reproductive medicine, as well as the general surgeons who have experience of doing TISA can do the andrology services. Now there are earlier it was level 1, 2, 3 clinics. Now there is nothing like that. No IVF clinic, no IUI clinic, nothing. It is only 2 type of ART clinics, and one is level 1 and one is level 2. The other thing is ART bank. So these 3 things have been specified by the new rules. Okay, so now this new law, but since it has come, one problem which we all are facing is that lots of written job has increased. Lots of forms have come over. They were earlier specified in ICMR too, but now every second or third month, we keep getting a letter from the state authorities that this form is to be filled, this data is to be given, how many you did, successful cases you did. So all that clerical work has increased for all of us. So that we have to comply. So that data management, since it was not very well done earlier, so it is taking a toll on us that we have to have extra hands to do that. But then gradually these things will make our few things better. You know, our data compilation with time would get better. And probably we, the gynecologists, were the one who were the soft targets, I can say. That CEA, I hope you understand that Clinical Establishment Act has not yet been implemented properly. But this act has been implemented properly because, you know, the homework was done by PCPNDT Act. So those people have made this system that PCPNDT has made us friendly to upload our reports, to do things online. So all these things have made and opened up a path. And gradually now these ART services will open path for many more future things which would be more streamlined. So we are one of those, what should I say, the path leaders that we are doing, the gynecologist and the ART specialists. So problems gradually which we are facing are ironed out. As an appropriate authority, I keep getting questions sometimes that whether this is allowed or not, whether that is allowed or not. So there are few answers which we can offer. There are few answers which we still do not know. And gradually with passing time, maybe things will get better and better. So the one advantage is that on the World Forum, now we can actually claim, since the transparency is becoming more and more, we can actually tell our good results. Earlier, our things were actually looked upon, whether the data is correct or not, whatever numbers we are giving are correct or not. But now with increased transparency, the world is actually there to see what good work is being done in India. So that's the good part of this extra clerical work which we are doing. Of course, there is one thing which we over the time learned, that government sympathy is not with us. Maybe India is bursting to seams probably with population. So the sympathy with ART specialists is not very high. And CA could not be implemented earlier because of resistance, and we just could not say anything much because law did not, the government agencies were not very sympathetic towards us. But it's okay. With time, I think we are that path leaders. That is what is going to give some relief of thought. Now, first clinical situation. Earlier, we used to get the semen preparation done from the neighborhood pathologist. So can we do it now? So the answer is very simple. No, we cannot do, because the ART Act has now said that it is the violation of the Act if we do semen sample outside the premises of the level 1 or level 2 clinic. So it is very clear that the pathologist cannot do it. The person who is supposed to do it has to be a gynecologist. The gynecologist do not have to have any extra training for this, extra certification course for this. You just have to learn. It's a very easy procedure. Learn it from your colleagues and do it yourself. This is a thing of future, and the people who were doing it earlier and now not doing it for the fear of it need not be very wary of it. I understand that earlier, the clinics who will have 3 to 4, the average of 3 to 4 IUIs a month, they are the ones who are not actually registering. People who are doing 10, 15, 20 IUIs, they have all got them registered. But overall, if you see the data in the national registry, the level 2 clinics have applied more and level 1's clinic applications have been very less. Whereas many gynecologists are doing, but there is a fear actually of unnecessary clerical work and things like that. But if you're doing it, get yourself registered. A one-time, every 5 years, you have to pay 50,000 fee for that. But then you are doing it fearlessly, comfortably. So my friendly suggestion is that if you are doing it, get yourself registered, or else refer to a center who is either level 1 or level 2 registered for an IUI. Do not do it yourself or get it done by a pathologist. The equipments required are very few. You just have to apply online. You do not have to route it through a tout or any person who would charge you. It's very, very simple. Go onto the website. We all have applied, and most of us have got our registrations done. Till date, not a single application government has rejected. So this is the website, artsurrogacy.gov.in, and apply on it. The 3 requirements are in your setup are only 3. That is a centrifuge, a refrigerator, and a microscope. So that's a very simple way to go about. And this is the time when all the gynecologists who are doing IUI should be registered, and all the clinics in whose setup the IUI is being done, those clinics are also to be registered. Any postgraduate can perform IUI, and there is no restriction to the number of these centers one gynecologist can attach to, and there is no restriction to the number of gynecologists on one center. So in my center, I have 3-4 gynecologists associated with me. So that is not a problem. The name should be there, and then that person can come and do the IUI at your place. All the gynecologists now should be aware that you have to fill certain forms. I'll just enumerate them later on. And all the masses and doctors need to be aware about the new rules. The pathologist cannot register as level 1. We cannot advertise something like home inseminations, or I've heard that online home insemination kits are available. Well, it is punishable. If sometime it comes into the notice of any authorities, it is a punishable offense. Beware of the third party reproduction now, because in future, probably, since one donor and one person is the norm now, so you cannot do the sharing. So in future, it is, or you cannot name the wrong donor attached to. So the future paternity litigations and all can come over. So this is a very important thing to understand, that you cannot forge documents now. And all the documents should have Aadhaar numbers. The Aadhaar number should have last 4 digits, and rest of them as cross, star, 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 and last 4 digits. That is how it is written on the documents. What we should not do is that pathology labs are washing the semen. What we should not do is that the level 1 or level 2 clinic A is collecting the sample. It is sending it to another level 2 clinic for washing, and then it is coming back to the clinic number A. That is also not acceptable. Even if the 2 clinics are separately registered, but one clinic cannot send its sample outside to another clinic. So that in between the clinic transportation of the gametes is one thing which could not be done. And one clinic is stimulating the patient and is doing pickup at the other clinic to which they are attached. This is ambiguous. And ultimately, it is the responsibility of the second level 2 clinic, and they are the ones who are reporting the case to the National Registry portal. And gamete sharing, embryo sharing, obviously, we all know is not allowed. Repeat transfers, if the age limit has crossed. Now at this time, the ART procedure, be it IUI, be it IVF, it is only allowed between a female of 21 to 50. So if a female has come over with an age more than 50, or a male who has come with the age more than 55, we cannot do it. If an 18 years old female has come to you, again, you cannot do it. It is very important, 21 to 50 and 21 to 55. That is to be remembered. Consents taking on mail or on phone, we should try and avoid it, because the proper consent forms, which formats have come over, we should try and stick to them only. How many times the donations can be done? It is only and only once one person can donate. Of course, if a semen donor is giving a sample to one person, and that, say, supposing that pregnancy has not occurred, then only he can donate again. Otherwise, not. And sperm donation is only for one commissioning couple, can give any number of times. Therefore, ART bank needs to keep a tab and take the feedback from the clinic, whether the pregnancy has happened with that sample or not. If the patient is not pregnant, then that sample can still go to another couple. At one point of time, I think just 3 years back, we could take 10, 25 samples also from one person, but now we cannot do that. So one clinical situation is this, that you have asked for a donor sample, semen sample from a bank, and you got 3 vials, say supposing 2 vials or 3 vials from that bank, and you did the IUI for the patient, and the patient got pregnant. So now what do we do? If the patient is pregnant, 1 vial is used and 1 is left over. Can we use it to another couple? No, we cannot. We can use it if that first couple has not got pregnant. the pregnancy has not occurred, then that sample can be used. But otherwise, in the one pregnancy has happened with one sample, now we cannot use it for any other patient. If, say, supposing the pregnancy has not occurred, and then can we use this sample? We can use this for another patient, but then for the first patient, we will have to book another donor and not the same donor. Earlier, I remember I used to get the samples between 1,000, 1,500 or something per semen sample. But nowadays, after testing and everything, the semen sample is usually 10 to 12,000 rupees. And I get usually 2 vials or 3 vials. So if I'm not getting that, it is very important for this costly a sample that we should inform the bank that we are using the second sample or not, what happened to the first sample, what happened to the second sample. So this is the liability of the level 1 or level 2 clinic to inform the bank. Now, one of our colleagues has referred the case for IUI from a non-registered center. Can they do that? Yes, a referral can be done, but they cannot do an IUI themselves. Of course, if it's your friend and they want to do an IUI at your center, get them registered at your center. Get their names entered at your place and registered at your place. Then they can do IUI at your center. So I have a female who is 37 years old and the male is 56 years old, and their son committed suicide. They had come they were trying for pregnancy for a year but did not get pregnant. So at the age of 37, she came over. So can I do her IVF now? Since they've been trying and she did not get pregnant. No, we cannot do her IVF because the male's age is 56, which is 55 plus. So I could not do it. So then they said, okay, if you're not able to do IVF, that's an ART service. So at least do an IUI. So can I do an IUI? No, we cannot do an IUI also because even that is an ART service. So handling of the gametes outside the body is not to be done after the age limit. Now, the new opportunities after these laws are that counseling has become a very important part, and we were doing the counseling. I'm not saying that we are not doing the counseling, but now with the counseling and with the consent and with telling them that it's not a very flowery and a very foolproof result that you are getting. We always tell our patients that you are getting an IUI done. There is 15 to 18% chance of you getting pregnant. If you are doing an IVF, there is 60% chance that you will get pregnant. It is not 100% chance, and nothing foolproof is there. So that counseling, even if you are doing to your patient, now you are documenting everything. It is written everywhere in standard consents, and now your patient cannot blame you if the pregnancy has not happened. So that is an advantage, that everything is documented. It is more organized sector, and that is why we can consider it as a double-edged sword. So the penalties are also there, but also it protects us with these disclaimers. So one more thing, that discharge summary is mandatory now. We cannot just write it down that IVF has been done, IUI has been done. What did you do exactly? What was the preparation and prepared sample? How did it go? Just give them in written to the patients. Similarly, how many eggs have you retrieved? Whatever ART services you've done, you have to give that in written. What dose? Earlier, we used to just keep guessing what gonadotrophins were given by another clinic. How do I go about in the second clinic? Now the patient will have the records, so you can always compare and work accordingly. So that's an advantage to the patient. So more transparency and data registry creation is giving that benefit to the patient as well as to our society in general. Of course, the proper infrastructure is taking a toll on our pockets. The extra human resources are required. Legal safety is there, definitely. Even if there are penalties, there are protections too. Can we keep the frozen sample at level 1 or level 2 ART clinics? For husband, yes, we can keep that sample. We can store it also. Say, supposing the husband is going out of country for 3 months and in between you want to do an IUI for the wife, you can easily do it after storing that sample. But make sure that you are not going to sell that sample or trade that sample or import those gametes to another lab or something. That's a punishable offense. So can a non-registered center or a level 1 center use the gonadotrophins? This ambiguity is still there. Ovulation induction, of course, you can do. Definitely you can do. But gonadotrophins is still, the RTIs have still not given a proper answer. As an appropriate authority, when it was asked by me, what I will answer, I will say that gonadotrophins are allowed. Definitely, usually, a center which is not doing IUIs would not very easily be prescribing gonadotrophins. We all trained gynecologists are scared of OHSs. It's a very important question of our MD, MS exams, that OHSs, one question will definitely come, and there is no one who's unaware about OHSs. And we all know that gonadotrophins, if it is unmonitored, it can lead to that complication. And so none of us will be just prescribing it for the heck of it. And so whosoever is prescribing, usually that would be a level 1 or level 2 clinic, and they are trained for understanding that how things go about. So why not? You should be allowed to use gonadotrophins if required. If oral ovulations are not enough, then why not? Go about it. So a non-registered center, which is not level 1 or level 2, probably they should restrict themselves to the oral ovulations only. And good cold chain, of course, is to be maintained. Ideally, the scanning should be done by a level 2 centers rather than a sonologist, because sometimes a level 1 clinic would be just asking about dominant follicle, and the eye for early OHSS changes should be there. And if you're just monitoring the dominant follicle and not mentioning the other smaller ones, the patient can land up in OHSS. So ideally, a good level 2 center, or that the person who knows to do those scans should be the ones doing it. And then only then should gonadotrophins be used. Advertisement is big no-no now, especially about home selections, and giving ads about home insemination kits and all, that is not allowed. Now, this is an important slide. If somebody wants to take the picture, can take it. That what are the various forms? The forms which are relevant to IUI services, I have mentioned them here. First is the Form 1, which is just an application for getting yourself registered for level 1 clinic or level 2 clinic. Then the Form 3 is when you are registered, then the government gives you this registration certificate. And Form 7 is then when the husband's husband sample is being used for IUI, and Form 8 is when the donor sample is being used for IUI. Form 10 and 11 are used when the freezing of the gametes. Say, supposing the husband is leaving his sample to be used after 3 months or 2 months, or he is going out of station. So then that sample can be frozen, but after filling of the Form 10. Form 11 is basically for minors, and that is not for the use of a common gynecologist. And Form 5 is important. Okay, Form 14 is a record which we keep, and we provided it in duplicate to the bank also, which tells about the donor sample's final result. So that is to be kept. Form 5 is something new which all of us should know, and all the registered centers should maintain this Form 5, which is just nothing but a template of complaint form. So complaint handling section should be there, the grievance section, that forms will be, it should be displayed on your reception or whatever front desk is there, and write it down that if your grievance is not being catered to, then you can contact on so and so number. So just write 1 or 2 numbers over there and make a team of 2 or 3 members from your hospital. Maybe the hospital in charge or another person, senior person, can become the grievance cell moderator. And because usually whenever your center will be inspected for registration, they will make sure that they will have a check whether the grievance cell has been made or not. So ensure that you make a grievance cell there. So another question which comes is that there is a couple coming from another country and they want their IUI. Now, can we do it? So if there is a foreigner couple or a single patient who's attempting for self cycle, wanting for IUI, no problem, you can do it. If they are wanting a donor cycle, so then donor cycle, of course, you can do that for donor cycle as well. But you have to ensure that the donor is routed through the ART bank itself. And from the ART bank, whatever donor you'll get an Aadhaar number for that donor. So you cannot get a donor from out of the country that without an Aadhaar number, because that cannot be routed through the ART bank. So that is one catch there. Patient self-ex, no problem. Donor IUI, again, no problem. Any person whose NRI is having, a person who is having medical visa, you can go ahead. NRIs, PIOs, OCIs, overseas citizens of India, all of them do not require any medical visa. You can go ahead and do the IUI or ART services. In my area, I get a lot of patients from Canada and Australia. We have a lot of Sardar population, Sikh population at our place. And there are long queues at Australia and Canada. Like most of them who come over at our places are having 3 to 4 years waiting there. And the poor ovarian reserve people are actually poor, and we feel very poor for them. And they are the ones who are thronging back. And India is actually not just a tourist hub for them. It is their medical need now. So government would be benefiting a lot by all this ART services. All over the world, people are going to come in future. With our better data, we can actually flaunt our good results now. So another thing is that the donor cannot be NRI, and it has to be routed through the ART bank. So in a foreign couple, you can do it. Of course, all the tests have to be done, like hepatitis B, C, VDRL, and HIV, etc. Can a single woman, say supposing you get a patient who's 22 years old and she wants to get a donor IUI. She's very clear that she's not going to get married. This has actually happened with one of our colleagues whom I know, that there was a young girl who came over that I'm not going to get married and I'm very clear and I want a baby of my own. And since it's allowed now, the ART services, I want to get a donor IUI done. So can she get it done? She can get it done, but the catch in that patient was that she was probably less than 21 at that time when she came over. So if she's more than 21, of course, she can get it done. Of course, it's our part of counseling that we should persuade her to have a normal married life, but you get all sorts of patient, and I am sure all of us are facing this chunk of patient whom you just cannot get across. So for oocyte freezing, this is something very, very valid, and patients will come more and more numbers with more carrier-oriented females. All of us are seeing them more and more often, and the ladies are coming at later and later ages for pregnancy. So if they are aware and they want their oocyte freezing done, it's very, very good for the society. And we just have to remember that the form 10 is to be filled. And in that form 10, when you are freezing, there is a section which mentions that wife and husband. So in that, you just strike down wife, and for husband, just write down not applicable and go about it. So this is another thing which is the change, that earlier it was anonymity, now it is just confidentiality. So the question which is asked is that can the brother be a donor? Yes, the brother can be a donor. We have to maintain confidentiality. The message should not leak from the ART clinic who has been the donor, but the couple, if they are knowing who is their donor is, it is okay. We do not have any objections now. In West, people used to use their own donors. They used to get their donors, and the same thing has been probably copy pasted here. But level 1, since they do not have the storage facilities, the cryo cans and etc., so just ensure that it's a donor sample, then that sample has to be routed through the ART bank. That is the only thing which one has to remember. Husband is azoospermic and willing for donor IUI. Mother-in-law comes and requests that my second son will give the sample. Can we use the sample? Yes, we can. That is what the question was. And it should go through the ART bank, and after the required quarantine period, that sample would be released. But there is another situation where the female has no eggs there and the husband's sample is okay. So the mother requests that her son's sample should be used in some other female, the bhabi in the family. Can that be done? No, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. Absolutely no. This was a slide which, if the time permits, then I will just, this is not related to IUI, but just a fast run over that any married couple who's trying for more than 1 year can be a commissioning couple. A Hindu male who has come over with a second wife will not be acceptable because it is not legal unless the first wife has been divorced according to Hindu Marriage Act. Even Muslim couples' marriage certificate is required for whosoever wife he is getting. Single men cannot take any treatment except semen freezing. Unmarried female above 21 can avail ART services provided she is an Indian. So you cannot do that for a foreigner female. I mean, NRI you can do, but some other country resident, you cannot do ART services for a single woman. For a couple, yes, you can do it. Any female more than 21 can take ART treatment till 50 years of age, and a never married woman cannot take surrogacy. For surrogacy, it has to be either a widow or a divorcee, and the age is between 35 to 45 for those females, single females. Only married couple can use surrogacy. Widow and divorcee can get surrogacy done, but with their self gametes and not with the donor gamete. So can a live-in couple or LGBTQ plus apply as an intending couple? No, because they're not married according to the Indian laws. And that's it. There is one more clinical situation. A 38 years old female is married for 6 months and having regular periods. This is a very common situation. This is probably my last slide. And all gynecologists who are not registered and not doing a very active infertility service should probably connect with this situation and understand what correct or wrong thing are they doing. There is a 38 years old female. So her age is dwindling. She's just at the borderline. Who has been married recently, 6 months, and she's having regular periods. So suppose we are expecting that not much problem is there. Now she's come for conception to a trained gynecologist, but she's not been registered. What will she do? She will probably get her TVS done. She'll get her thyroid levels done, prolactin done, AMH done. Husband semen analysis will be done. Preferably the semen analysis should be done from a good clinic who are trained into seeing the semen samples. So in such a situation, she has been trying for 6 months. You should always have a low threshold of referring this patient because she is not having enough time. If you are registered, fine, go ahead, go for IUI. The next step required, IVF, if required, then go ahead. But in this patient, many a times we are wasting their times trying for normal conception, and you are making her go towards 40 years. And then in that patient, she will probably be needing donor services, which is becoming more and more difficult nowadays. So it is very, very important to understand that in these borderline patients, try to be as fast as possible in your infertility management. It is mandatory. If whatever treatment you are doing, if you are doing it, you are registered, you are doing IUI or you are doing IVF, make sure that you are issuing a discharge proper certificate stating all the details, whatever has been done. And that's it. So the strength, weakness, opportunity, threats. This was my topic. So the strengths and opportunities are, the good things are that with clear rules, the India is expected to be the world leader very soon in ART field. With better documentation, we can show our better results, which were thought fictitious. We need not have to have any anonymous sample. Known donors can be used. All samples can be tested with for common communicable diseases. The semen wash sample shall not be running now in the same lab conditions where the stool samples were being run and the urine samples were being run. It would be a proper dedicated centrifuge for these semen samples, which is a good thing to do for the patient's justice. Now, there is new thing which has come up is posthumous collection can also be done, which was not being done earlier, but the new rules have allowed it. Of course, you have to write a proper consent before your death. So a young man dying on a street who is not aware that he should have given a consent for posthumous collection would not be of benefit. So probably now the whole society, everyone, every young boy or girl who would be wanting their samples to be used in future should get their samples frozen. That should be the norm in general in the society now with advancements. And if the boy is a minor, then the parents' consent would be enough. Illegal players, the antisocial practices would probably weed out and the better governance would be there. And the thing which I feel is that penalties which are mentioned in the rules are only for the practitioners, the level 1, level 2 clinic directors, but it should be, if the problem is there, it should be for the intending couples too. It should be for the embryologists too. Why penalties is only for them? The quarantine clause probably should be removed because the results, this has not been addressed, and the results of the frozen thaw semen samples are not as good as the fresh samples are. When you are doing the blood transfusions with the fresh samples, so why not doing this semen sample also? This is one thing which probably in future we can fight about. And cost issues are really big for these small setups. The new gynecologist which is coming up with not so deeper pockets, they are actually having a big problem with the extra cost of clerical jobs, registrations, every 5-year re-registrations. That is something not very good. And, most of the patients are very comfortable with their neighborhood doctors. So that neighborhood doctor, even if they want to give a service at a larger scale, cannot give it now because they have to be registered. So that is one deterrent. Fear of excess paperwork and red tapeism. PCPNDT also has not given up a very good background. People have been punished unnecessarily, harassed unnecessarily. So that fear factor is all there with the gynecologist. So that is to be erased with passing time, and that is the onus of the state authorities. No sharing or mixing of these samples in our society has really increased the cost, which is a strong deterrent for the average Indian population. And third-party availability has become a big problem with that. So that's it, I think. Thank you so much from Team Futela. And Seema, thank you again. Thank you, Dr. Patki. Thank you, the whole ISAR team, for allowing me to be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anupama, for your very detailed and insightful presentation. I am sure that viewers are going to get benefited by it. Yes. Suchira, Are we ready with Dr.? Yeah. So our next speaker is Dr. Nitish Mordia. He is an expert member, National Assisted Reproduction and Surrogacy Board. He, amongst many awards he has won, one of the prestigious one is Budding Embryologist of the Year National Gold by ET Health. Yeah, पागल हो गए हैं। ET Health of the Year World National Fertility Awards in 2019, leading team of 160 plus embryologists setting educational program for national and international candidates, implementing accreditation programs and striving for clinical excellence. Dr. Nitish Mordia holds a strong background in management and SOP-driven systems, design training for Indira Fertility Academy, which have trained over 350 embryology and andrology candidates till now. His special interest in artificial intelligence, new technology innovation, quality management systems, and digitalization in the IVF lab. Dr. Nitish has brought an exceptional technological advancement in Indira IVF with help of electronic witnessing, automated alarm and cloud monitoring systems, and QMS dashboards. Now we are going to hear Dr. Nitish Mordia's talk.
Yeah, hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, the ISAR organizing
Oh,
committee.
you are here. Great.
For inviting me to this very important topic of ART regulation. And in this particular presentation, I would be more focusing on the level 1, especially for the gynecologist. And the views expressed in this presentation are of my own. And let us actually try to understand what are the questions that the gynecologists have in their mind, how the practice have changed before the law and how it is different after the law has come into place. So the first thing is, what type of fertility patients, a gynecologist can see without the ART registration. That is a very basic question which I hear, gynecologists asking whenever I give this lecture on ART. Can semen sample be washed in the pathology labs, or in some other ART level 1 labs? And can we use that particular semen sample for our patient in case if we don't have the facility available in our center? If a patient wants to use a relative sample, how to go about it? Can a same semen sample be used multiple times in an IUI cycle on the same patient? And how do we register and what is the data reporting norms, in ART when it comes to a level 1 center? So broadly, these are the main questions that, comes to the mind. And obviously there are a lot of other questions which I'll try to cover, in this presentation of mine. So first, let us look at what is the differentiation of a level 1 versus a level 2 clinic. So a level 1 clinic is where only intrauterine insemination procedure is carried out as a part of treatment. So any of the gynecologist who's doing an IUI procedure needs to have a level 1 license certificate for their particular clinic. Level 2 obviously takes care of the IVF part of it, which I will probably skip in this presentation. Let's say if you're going for a level 1 clinic, what is the minimum requirement as per the law? So for staff, you need minimum 1 gynecologist who shall be a postgraduate in gynecology and obstetrics. Equipment wise, you need microscope, centrifuge, and refrigerator. So when the law came into place, there were a lot of clinics which were existing, and a lot of clinics might be opening new, after the law came into place. So for establishing a new clinic, as per the law, what it says is that no person shall establish any clinic or bank for undertaking ART or to render ART procedures in any form unless such clinic or bank is duly registered under the Act. Right? So all the clinics opening after the Act has to follow this principle. And for the clinics which were opened before the law, there was some delay in terms of different states taking their own time to form the state authority and the state board, and then do the registration or inspection of the clinics and issue them the certificate of registration. So for clinics which were existing before the law, this particular clause applies, that every clinic or bank which is conducting ART partly or exclusively shall, within a period of 60 days from the date of establishment of the national registry, apply for registration. And this date of establishment of national registry has been extended twice, provided that such clinics or banks shall cease to conduct any such counseling or procedures on the expiry of 6 months from the date of commencement of the act, unless such clinics or banks have applied for registration and is so registered separately, or till such application is disposed of, whichever is earlier. So people who have already applied but their applications are pending with the state authority or the state board and they have not been rejected, they can function normally the way they have been doing it before the law, but they need to follow all the aspects of the law. The registration certificate, applying a registration is very simple. You go to registry.artsurrogacy.gov.in. There are three different types of application. One is for the ART clinic, second is for the ART bank, and third is for the surrogacy clinic. When you click on the ART clinic, you will be taken to this particular form, which is the form number 1. You fill in the relevant information. If you see on the right hand side, the point number 7, 8, 9, you fill in what kind of procedure you are doing. The same form is there for level 1 clinic also and the level 2 clinic. So be careful in what you select in your 7, 8, 9. Accordingly, it will determine which particular type of level clinic you are applying for. Whether you are the director or not, again, it has to be declared, because all the responsibility lies on the director, which I'll cover once we go into the penalty slide towards the end. And you have to declare whatever is required as per this particular form. Once you submit this application, you take a copy of this application and submit it to the state authority or the district or the city authority. Most of the places it is the PCPNDT authority who's taking care of the ART, but some of the states it is slightly different. For registering your clinic as level 1, you will have to pay a sum of 50,000. This will be valid for a period of 5 years. And after a period of 5 years, you will again have to pay the fee and renew your registration and go through the entire process. Make sure that once your state authority comes for inspection, you have the degrees and the registration of all the staff members which you have declared in form number 1, and also the equipment list and the invoices are kept into that same file. They may ask the qualification certificate, equipment bills, draft consent forms. All these consent forms are available in the ART notifications which came in June, right? Based on your application and based on the inspection, they can grant the application, or they may find out some defects which they will give you time to tackle it. And if they reject your application, you will be given an opportunity of hearing. This is a website which is artsurrogacy.gov.in. All the latest notifications which come, all the different act, the regulations, you can find it on this particular website. This is updated. You can even find your appropriate authorities, who are the members of the appropriate authorities of the different state. Everything is there when it comes to ART and Surrogacy Act. Now let us look at what is the definition of ART. So it means that all technology that attempt to obtain a pregnancy by handling of sperm or oocyte outside the human body and transferring of the gamete or embryo into the reproductive system of a woman is termed as ART, right? A commissioning couple is an infertile married couple who approaches a ART clinic or a ART bank for obtaining the services. A woman means a single woman who is above the age of 21 years who approach the clinic for the treatment. These are the basic definitions which are defined in the ART Act. Now, let us look at some of the aspect when it comes to counseling and consents for the ART. So, as per the 21C, you will have to provide professional counseling, and you will have to counsel them on the implication and the chances of success of ART treatment, be it IUI or be it IVF. You have to inform advantages, disadvantages, cost, side effects, risk for arriving at an informed decision. You have to provide awareness on the rights of child born through ART. You cannot perform any procedures without the written consent of all the parties seeking a reproductive technology. So let's say if you're doing IUI with a donor semen sample, you will have to have consent of all the parties being involved, right? And the consent can be withdrawn anytime before the gamete transfer, right? For level 1 clinic, you will mainly be concerned about the form, which is the form number 7, form number 8, form number 10, and form number 11. I will go through these forms very quickly in the next slides, and I can let you know that which form has to be used for what. So when it comes to form number 7, this is a form which you use for IUI treatment. It's written here. And this has to be used when you're using husband semen uh, or sperm, right? If you're using a donor semen or donor sperm for IUI, you will have to use form number 8. And if you see the bottom, what is written is that an appropriate modification in this form may be used for a artificial insemination of a single woman with donor semen. So if you're using a single female going for a donor semen IUI, you can appropriately modify this form accordingly. There is form number 10, which says consent of freezing gamete, sperm oocyte. So if you have any sperm to be frozen for a patient, you can use this particular form, right? And again, there are 3 different aspects. In case of a death, what has to be done? Again, this has to be ticked by the patient, and it has to be signed by both husband and wife. If there is a single woman, you can modify it accordingly based on this. There are these point number 1, 2, and 3, which you should read through, basically saying that the renewal of these cryopreserved semen the patient has to follow these instructions. And if the patient does not follow these instructions, the clinic have the right to discard it, right? So you should go through the point number 1, 2, and 3, and then make a system process accordingly within your setup, so that you inform the patient well within time by using all the different methods mentioned in these consent forms. And even after that the patient does not comply or does not respond, you can discard the cryopreserved semen. This is consent form number 11. This is mainly used for minors. So one thing that the law has changed is posthumous collection is now not possible unless you have the consent form of that particular person who has faced some accident or something, right? This is a parental consent. So if there is any minor who wants to do a freezing because of the onco treatment, you can use form number 11 to freeze their sperm or oocyte. Again, this form has the same point number 1, 2, and 3. They will have to renew and give you the charges for freezing year on year. And if they don't give you, even after you follow these instructions, you have the right to discard it. Now, let us look at who can avail, this treatment, the ART treatment. So the age criteria is very clearly defined in the Act. The female age has to be between 21 to 50. The male has to be between 21 to 55. This is defined. You should only entertain patients who fall under this age. If a patient is going above this age, you as a clinic should ask them or should not cater to them, because this is against the Act, right? Whoever patient is coming to your clinic, you should maintain age proof, though it is not written in the law, but it is better that you have some ID preserved with you, which kind of tells about their age. When it comes to donor sperm, There are registered banks now. So this is one thing that has come after this act came into play, that there is something which is called ART bank. So you will have to source the donors from the ART bank. You cannot mix samples anymore. You cannot mix semen of two different people and treat a female using that mixed semen. You have to make sure that the storage of these semen samples are securely done in a segregated area. There is a recording and identification process that exists at your clinic. If an inspection happens at your clinic, you should be able to demonstrate that you have securely preserved these samples, and there is a proper recording and identification which is available in your record. All the unused gametes shall be used on the same commissioning couple. The one thing that has changed after the law is that one donor has to go to one recipient only. You cannot share it to multiple recipients. This is not allowed. One semen sample or one oocyte sample will have to be used by only one commissioning couple or a single female. It cannot be used or shared between multiple people. The sale or transfer of gamete or zygote is strictly prohibited, and it is a punishable offense. It should not be done. If a couple needs to move their semen or oocyte or embryo from one clinic to other clinic, they will have to follow a process of application to the national board. There are 3 affidavits which has to be filled in and sent to the national board, and then the national board will approve any movement of the gametes which can happen in the country. This process normally takes around 3 to 5 months to execute. So if you are telling it to your patients, let them know a realistic time of how much time will it take for the movement application to be approved. For males, the age limit for donation is 21 years to 55 years. So a male can donate semen between the age group of 21 to 55. What is the information that you need to keep and maintain? First thing is the confidentiality of the couple is very important. So when I say confidentiality, it means let's say if you're sourcing a semen from a bank, so there are 4 parties involved. One is the semen donor, second is the ART bank, third is the couple or a single woman, and fourth is the ART clinic. So because of because of certain aspect, there might be an identity which might be revealed during this process. But what you have to make sure that within the 4 parties, it is kept confidential and it should not go outside of the 4 parties. This is what the confidentiality term means. Once the national registry is made, you will have to disclose certain information. Recently, there was a notification sent from the central government to all the state governments to collect the data in a particular format and send it back to the central government. So this process is slowly starting. A lot of states have made their own format where they are sending it to the clinics. And similar to the PCPNDT, they are asking the clinics to submit the details and the data before the 5th of every month. So you need to get in touch with your state authority. And once the national registry is established, you will have to do an online filling also, similar to how we do it in the PCPNDT portal. You will have to issue a discharge summary with details of the procedure performed to all the couples who are undergoing a ART procedure. The record keeping is now for a period of 10 years. You have to maintain all the records for a period of 10 years. If a clinic is shutting down before the period of 10 years, you will have to make sure that you transfer all these details to the national registry. And if there is a court case going against you, you will have to preserve all these records till the court case is disposed of, which may be even more than 10 years. There is now a requirement of grievance handling cell for the patient. Though there is not too much detail about who should be a part of this grievance handling cell in the ART Act, but you can frame a committee which may comprise of 2 to 3 members in your setup. The patient, the relative, or even an anonymous person can use this form number 5 to do a grievance in your center. Please keep this form number 5 printed at your reception, and also put a board in the reception area that who constitute a part of this grievance handling cell, and an email ID and a phone number in case if people want to send an email or call and update. And then This form has to be discussed between the grievance committee which is formed at your center, and whatever comes out of this grievance committee has to be informed to the patient, and this has to frame as a part of a record, and you will have to or you will be required to submit it to the state authority as and when asked. Let us come to offenses and penalty. So let me just go through that what according to act is punishable. So any medical geneticist, gynecologist or RMP or any person shall not abandon, disown or exploit or cause to abandon, disown or exploit in any form the child or children born through ART, sell human gametes, run an agency, a racket or an organization for selling, purchasing or trading of human gametes, import or help in getting imported in whatsoever manner human gametes, exploit the commissioning couple, woman or gamete donor in any form, sell any human gamete for the purpose of research. And if you are found doing any of these, there is a first fine of 5 to 10 lakhs for the first contravention that you do. If it is subsequently repeated, then it may result into 3 to 8 years of imprisonment with 10 to 25 lakhs of fine. Who shall be liable to be punished? It is the executive head of the clinic, right? So be very careful. Though there may be a mistake done by the staff, but eventually you being the executive head of the clinic, your line is in the fire and you will be responsible for any of these contravention that may happen at your clinic. And in case while the court feels that there is any other officer who is additionally involved or responsible along with the executive head, then even he is and if he's found guilty, even he is liable for punishment and penalty. So as per the clause 34 of the act, anything that contains in the act, any contravention that happen with any of the clauses of the act, the punishment is the same. So be very careful, in terms of how you handle, and your staff is properly trained. There is a SOP in place where the staff follows the SOP and the checklist. So you make sure that whatever knowledge that you have gained by reading the law or by interpreting the different clauses of the law is put as a black and white in terms of SOP and checklist, so that the staff blindly follows the SOP and the checklist. Indirectly, they are following the act. And that is the only way you can make sure that your position is secured. With this, I come to the end of my presentation. If there is any questions on it, I will be happy to take it. Thank you very much.
Hello. So it was a very elaborated talk by Dr. Nitish, followed by whatever we wanted to know. Both our speakers, they did full justice to make us understand the law. Now I take proud privilege in introducing my panelists who are going to ask questions as well as replying to. They'll be asking questions from our experts, and they'll also take the questions from the public, whatever are there. So our first panelist is Dr. Sureeta Karim. She is Managing Director, Star Hospital Private Limited, Gorakhpur, Director at Shuffle Test Tube Baby Center, Gorakhpur. Ma'am is life member of IAG Foxy IMS, President of Indian Menopause Society, Gorakhpur. Ma'am is also an ex-president of GOX and Inner Wheel Club, Gorakhpur. She has organized first live workshop on NDVH and on laparoscopy and hysteroscopy at UPCOG, Gorakhpur in 2003. Ma'am is trained in ART and IVF and in laparoscopic and hysteroscopic surgery from Frankfurt, Germany. She is regularly organizing hands-on training in laparoscopy and ART for young gynecologists. Ma'am is certified by IIM Indore in I am not able to pronounce
I think it's
leadership
Kritanjana.
program for
Kritanjana.
Kritanjana. Okay.
Kritanjana.
Kritanjana. Fine. Leadership program for frontline doctors, and ma'am participating as faculty in many national and international conferences of ART and laparoscopy. She has achieved Wonder Foxen Award 2019, Nari Shakti Samman by UP government in 2020, certification of appreciation by IIMA for outstanding work in COVID times in 2021. Ma'am is contested as, that's what I wanted to tell. Apart from being an academician par excellence, ma'am is a wonderful leader. She is contested as a candidate in mayor election in 2012 and as a candidate for member parliament in polls in 2018. I welcome you, ma'am. Our second panelist is our dear, just like sister, friend, whatever, junior, Dr. Ekika Singh, my neighbor too. She is managing director and consultant, Sharda Narayan Hospital, president, Mahu Society, executive member, ISAR UP state chapter. Dr. Ekika has so many awards and accolades to her credit, like champion of ISAR 2020, Wonder Foxen Award by Foxy 2019, Foxy Unsung Hero Award 2018, Best Paper Presentation Award UPCOG 2018, Best Paper Presentation Award UISAR 2019, Shakti Yodha Award by Mission Shakti, and the Best Doctor Award by Lion Club International. Dr. Ekika has multiple publications to her credit, like Role of Progestin Prime Ovarian Stimulation in IVF ICSI Protocols, Evaluation of High Basal LH on IVF ICSI Outcomes in PPOS protocol cycles, Role of Platelet-Rich Plasma in Thin Endometrium, Evaluation of Combination Therapy, Inositols, Antioxidants, and Vitamins in PCOS. I welcome Dr. Ekika.
Thank you, Dr. Sita, for a kind introduction. And first and foremost, I really want to thank both the speakers. Dr. Anupma, I heard you for the first time and you made it so simple for everyone to understand. And Nitij, I know, of course, he's being called so many times for this thing that everything is now, it's just like saying anything, okay, ab ye batana hai, so he knows everything in point. He doesn't even have to look back. I think, Nitish, probably by now you must have got thousands of questions to answer. So probably first and foremost, I want to ask Nitish this thing to you. Like in UP, there is no state council which is being made till yet. So anybody who is wanting to register now, the act was maybe a year back and they want to go and, register now, so they can still go and register on the website for ART2 or ART1 clinic?
Yeah, they can, of course.
They can. And do they need to wait or they can really start
Hi, Nitish.
practicing?
Hi.
He is traveling. That was okay. So,
excellent talk, no?
Yeah, it
Thank
looks
you.
like you were really speaking. We literally thought that you are already in the room.
I said, oh, you are here. I thought it was
There was on and off signal going up and down. But
dumb
anyway,
of me.
good.
I thought you were speaking and I was looking at the video playing.
Right.
So, if anybody now, they go and register for the ART2 and ART1, which is now, they do now, maybe in this month or next month. So once they put up their application there, they can start practicing. They don't need to wait for anything.
Slightly gray area. Ideally, as per the act, clinics who have been operating before the act came into picture, if they have applied and their application is not rejected in 30 days, they can continue to work.
Okay.
But obviously for newer center, as per the act, they require to have a certificate of registration before they operate. But considering that UP, I think
No, this
things have
not.
not progressed
Yes,
and
it
they
is
have
not.
not issued any registration.
Mhm.
Again, it's a gray area in terms of what is the right answer for that. But I think the right thing to do is to get in touch with the local authority. Of course, the center should do the application, should do their part in terms of applying for the registration, and then have a discussion with the local state authority and do as per their instructions.
Okay, so probably anybody, I mean, this is for everyone who is in those states where the authority is not being formed, if they were not doing this practice before. So they really have to, get in touch with the local authorities, inform them, fill their form, and then decide what is to be done in consensus with the local authorities. That is
True.
what you're saying. So, one more thing which I really wanted to ask you: if you are already having one ART2 clinic, and now you want to put up one ART1 clinic, I mean, you are trying to do an OPD somewhere besides your own center. So, for that OPD, they need a proper registration again, or a doctor who has their own ART2 clinic can do OPD anywhere
No, I
besides
mean,
their own center.
if you're doing a procedure at that level 1 clinic, it has to be treated as a separate clinic and a proper
Okay.
registration with all the documentation in terms of manpower and equipment has to be present at the center, and you will have to apply for a registration.
So, if procedure means you means IUI, or the stimulation also comes in procedure?
Yeah, the IUI procedures for
And
level 1.
they are doing just the stimulations and just the plain OPD, and maybe stimulating the patient there by giving gonadotropin injections.
See, I'll treat it in a different way. I'll not treat it that you're doing it at the center. How I will treat it is that, let's say you are at a level 2 center and
Okay.
you have given a prescription to the patient for a level 2 center, which you are able to give for any IVF patient. But let's say you are doing a consultation somewhere, or a patient is going to a third center to do a follicular monitoring and putting the drug or a uh, they cannot be stopped, right? Because it's patient right to administer or buy a drug from their center or shop of their choice, right? So consider it in that way rather than you going to another center and doing something. It is the patient choice to go to a center and administer the drug.
So
But
drug and
in terms of the procedure, right? Yeah,
okay. That
that's the patient choice. But in terms of the procedure, which is IUI or IVF, it has to happen at a registered clinic only.
Okay. Okay. And then I had one more question. That is,
Can I ask one more question when Dr. Ekika has finished?
yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah,
Acha,
please.
okay. Somebody is asking, suppose a couple who is not of Indian origin, a foreigner couple, suppose an African, wants to come to our clinic for self or OD cycle. What are the rules?
So the foreigners are not restricted when it comes to the ART treatment. They can freely undergo. The only criteria that they need to follow is the age. When it comes to donor, a foreign donor is not allowed in India, because if you see the donor consent form, it has the Aadhaar number which has to be mentioned in the consent forms. And hence, if a foreign patient wants to undergo ART treatment in India with a donor, they can use an Indian donor and do the same.
Can they use Indian donor? I mean, even if they are not of Indian origin?
Yes, they can.
Commissioning couple. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
But that has to be informed to the local authorities that you are doing a treatment for foreign based nationally.
So any foreigner who's undergoing a treatment has to be on a medical visa.
Okay, yeah,
that takes care of that part, that they are undergoing a medical treatment in India.
Besides that, if they have taken a medical visa and they come to your clinic, do you need to inform the local police authority also that there is a foreign person who is undergoing a treatment?
So there is no regulation in the ART or the Surrogacy Act where you have to inform this thing to the official. But if you go to the Ministry of External Affairs website, there are few patients from a particular nation where you will have
Okay.
to update the authority, especially if a patient is from Pakistan and
Okay.
Bangladesh. There is a time limit that you will have to keep updating the Ministry of External Affairs or the local police station.
I mean, if they're staying for a prolonged period, that is one really you need to inform the local.
It's not about the long period, it is about the nationality. And there are, conditions which are there in the Ministry of External Affairs. You will have to keep, the local police station informed about them.
Okay. And one thing you and Dr. Anupma both mentioned about the Form 5, that is a grievance form. So, and that you mentioned 2 or 3 people. I mean, they can be anybody from the hospital, or there is a particular, I mean, they have to be the doctors or the direct, anything designation is being given to them?
So the law does not say anything about who can be a part of a grievance committee. Anyone can be a part. See, the whole idea of putting a grievance committee is couples directly approaching to the state authority or to the court. There is a new provision in the act where they are putting a grievance to you, and you have the chance to sort it out and solve it before the couple goes to appropriate authority or to a court. If a couple directly goes to appropriate authority, you can tell them that they haven't followed the procedure as per the act, which is they haven't put a grievance report in my clinic for me to solve it out, and they have directly approached to the appropriate authority for the same. So this is put just to reduce the number of queries going to the appropriate authority if it can be solved at the local level by the clinic.
Basically, can I add, Ekika? Basically,
sure.
if you see the NABH protocols, they also specify the same thing. They also need to have we need to have a grievance
Grievance cell.
So that grievance cell is the same as this. So if any hospital who's accredited with NABH, they also know that it's just nothing big. You just have to have 2 members, maybe 3 if it's a big setup, maybe a 3-member division. You can have any senior nurse in your hospital, any administrative post person, senior doctor, the 2 or 3 who need to handle this. So that cell, if it is made, then you are secure, and they are supposed to address to it. And whenever the patient is going directly to appropriate authorities, you can always give the answer how they have handled it. So that is the purpose of it. Ikika, you're muted.
One scenario I want to ask. I mean, there is a couple and husband is Fauzi. He frees his sample for the IUI. He's a Fauji, and because he cannot come and down again and again, this is what happened in my clinic. That's why I'm asking. Everything was fine. They wanted to go for an IUI, and he freezed his sample. I mean, he did one IUI, which was a failure. Then he freezed the sample and went on. And later on the border or whatever, he died, and his sample is frozen with me. So can that sample be used for the woman for IUI?
If he has signed.
If you see the consent form, there are 3 options which are written. In case of my death, what will happen to my sample? So as per the declaration done by the couple in the consent form, you can use the sample accordingly, which is perish, it belongs to my wife, or donate for research.
Okay. So, I mean, I think probably the things were presented so nicely by you and Dr. Anupama that most of the things are clear. There were a few gray zones which I really wanted to ask specifically about the OPD, if they're doing OPD at 3 other places. So until and unless they are not doing any procedure, it can be taken as a OPD clinic for them, and there is no problem. But the moment they put up in a procedure, any of the maybe IUI over there, so they have to get that clinic separately registered as ART Clinic 1. So, I mean, that is all. Dr. Seema, I mean, do you have anything else to ask? And do we have any more questions?
Yeah, I don't have any question. And I was asking Suchira if there are any more questions in the box, they should be telling us.
No, ma'am. There are no questions.
So it has been a wonderful series. Your second part or episode 2 of ART Act in association with ISAR, Science Integra and BSV. Thank you, Science Integra and BSV for providing us this platform. And thank you, ISAR, for endorsing it. And I would like to thank my excellent speakers, Dr. Anupma Fatela and Dr. Nitish Murdia, for such an elaborative and insightful session. Followed by question answers by our expert panelist, Dr. Ekika Singh. I don't think there is anything left for our viewers. There is anything more to understand. For
Seema,
me,
there aren't any viewers. There are 9 of us there.
no, this is
No,
faculty.
this is not the
This is faculty link.
This is
That's why
faculty
there
link,
are
Anupma.
no
Okay.
viewers.
It's not like
This is for us only. And sorry for me, my level of understanding is that much, as much it is in during question answers. Rest I keep forgetting. So you can imagine how important it is to understand it thoroughly. And for people like me, they'll have to keep listening and repeating this webinar. So thank you. There are 600
660
plus live viewers. Thank you, viewers. Because of your enthusiasm, we are able to just organize and hold these sessions. And at the outset, I would like to thank our President ISAR, Dr. Amit Patki, for giving his endorsement, and Dr. Asha Bakshi, our Secretary, to make it the first official webinar in this new tenure. And I think we did a good and decent job. And as we can look at the audience, and we promise you that we'll keep doing it. First was with Gujarat, this was with Uttar Pradesh. Since Uttar Pradesh ART board has not been formed, so I requested my dear friend Dr. Anupma, who is an appropriate authority in Uttarakhand board, to come and enlighten us with this. I would like to thank our partners, Science Integra, especially thank you, Subbu and Suchira, for giving us free hand to involve our friends and expert faculty. Thank you, BSV, for providing this platform. And thank you, Dr. Nitish, once again, and Dr. Anupma, Dr. Ekika, Dr. Surita, and thank you, Suchira and Aparna, for coordinating it so wonderfully that everything got very smooth. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, all the doctors.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Anupma. Thank you,
I hope
Nitish.
I have not forgotten anyone.
Ma'am, you are wonderful.
आदत हो गई होगी अब तो
Are we
Now
off
I
air?
think it's like
Are we off air?